All right, welcome to That After Show. And since we have such esteemed guitarists sitting with us here today, we should stop talking and let these guys chat about guitars and music and all that kind of stuff. So
True.
Go ahead, Kirk, take it away.
Okay, I was bragging to Damien to have
Yes.
Gary Moore's old Les Paul, which was actually Peter Green's Les Paul. You know, Peter Green
Fleetwood
was
Mac.
the guy who formed Fleetwood Mac. Right. And for you guys who don't know, Fleetwood Mac was a blues band before they became something else. And on that guitar was written Black Magic Woman, Green Manalishi, and Albatross. And the amazing thing about that guitar is when you play it, it sounds like Green Manalishi or Oh Well. You know, Oh Well was written on that guitar too. Even if you play it without an amp, it sounds like the track.
And you have it?
I have it.
How'd you get it?
Well, it had been on the market for a few years, but the price was just way too high. And then I kind of like waltzed into a situation where the owner of the guitar needed money. And of course, I totally took advantage of the situation, worked out a deal, and bought it all within like an hour's time because I was so friggin' blown away by the fact that I was holding the guitar that Peter Green played in Fleetwood Mac, and then Gary Moore played for like 25 years after. That guitar is on Black Rose. That guitar is on the first 4 or 5 Fleetwood Mac albums, along with, you know, countless other Gary Moore solo albums. Right. And I'm just blown away that I have it, and it's an amazingly inspiring instrument.
Is it on Victims of the Future?
Yes. It probably is.
Oh,
I mean, it was
massive.
Yeah, and it's a unique guitar in that the pickup is turned around. It's facing the opposite way. So when you play with both pickups on the Les Paul in the middle position, it creates an out of phase sound that sounds like a Fender Stratocaster, you know, through Marshalls. It's such a unique sounding guitar with so much history that when I pick it up, I'm just completely inspired.
Can we ask what you ended up paying for it?
Let's just say that secret will die with me. Okay.
Well,
Your wife would kill you?
No,
Okay. I'll put it this way. To buy it, I had to sell quite a few things, including a couple movie posters, which, you know, I'm a big collector of movie posters. Yeah. I hate to, like, part with any of this stuff, but, you know, that guitar came calling, and I just felt compelled to buy it and give it a good home. And since I'm having it, I've brought it back out on stage, and I intend on recording with it, and so it's back in circulation. And
keep it away from Damon because he's looking at it with envy right now.
You don't understand, man. That guitar is such a topic of discussion between so many guys, particularly Les Paul lovers and people that know the level of player that Gary Moore was. Scott Gorham and I were literally talking about this just last month when we were on tour, wondering who had that guitar. And I sit down next to him, he goes, you know I got Gary Moore's guitar, right? I'm like, what?
The three of us don't have enough stuff to sell to buy that guitar.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting, Michael? You were telling me that you only have ever played, I mean, the Flying V is synonymous with Michael Schenker, and you've only ever played Flying Vs. Like, you've never played any other guitars, right?
Except for the first Scorpions album, I played the Les Paul.
And how did you become so attached to Flying Vs?
Because we had a concert and I was just about to play a lead break, broke a string. I grabbed my brother's guitar, plugged it into my amplifier, and that was the sound. You know, it's for me with the combination between the V and the Marshall I was playing at the time. You know, that I asked him to sell it to me. I bought it off him, and because of his position, you get so used to it, and it works. Don't fix it anyway. And so, but you know, you hold it differently. And I also started to kind of, because of the way it's you know, with the V shape. Yeah, I started to kind of, you know, pull some strange shapes and stuff like this, which had to do with the technique I was using vibrato by, you know, putting you know, holding it very tight, and so that gave it a really heavy.
What he's doing right now is iconic, ladies and gentlemen.
Wait a second. So you're using the fact that you're wedging the guitar to help your vibrato.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's everything I do is coincidentally.
Wow,
That's information we can use right there.
yeah.
Just gave away a secret.
That is that's a very subtle bit of information that I can take to the hilt.
Yeah, he's going to be cutting a wedge into the Gary Moore guitar when he gets home.
Yeah. Where's my chainsaw?
Hey, who altered the pickup? I'm just curious. Was it
Well,
Gary?
No, I guess something happened and the pickup shorted out, and so Peter Green took it to an amplifier store, Selmer Amplifiers, and gave it to the technician there, and he was an amp guy, right? And so there's a difference between amp guys and guitar guys. Well, this amp guy thought, oh, I'll fix this. I'll just like rewind it and put it back in. But what he didn't know is that he put it back in facing the other way. It was supposed the screws on the neck pickup are supposed to be on this side of the fretboard, but they're actually on this side facing the bridge. And so the sound that was created was just completely and totally unique. And there's another interesting thing that I noticed about owning that guitar. It's kind of like if I can make the analogy of like maybe if I was married to like some famous like actress or something or other, that's what it's like having this guitar, because I'll sit there and I'll be playing it and my friends will come over and all of a sudden it's like, can I take a picture with that guitar? I'm like,
Where do you keep it? Is it in a
sure.
special place?
Yeah, it's in my door. It's right when I walk in. So I can
your
know where
house?
it is, yeah, and I can grab it immediately.
Michael, how many V's do you have?
I don't know. I mean, I actually had 4 of my, from the last tour stolen while we were recording, and but because I have been with Dean Guitars
Check
since
Kirk's house.
Kirk Hammett's house. Right when you walk in.
All 4 of them will be next to the Gary Moore guitar.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, because I've been with Dean Guitars, I used to only have one guitar, and then eventually I had a spare guitar, and that was it, for many, many years. I never collected guitars. And then, since I have been with Dean Guitars since 2004, I made so many different models, and so it's piling up, And when I had those 4 guitars stolen, I just opened my room and took them all out on this album. I just put them all over the place and then randomly picked and played through all of them.
Damon, are you a collector? Do you have a lot?
I have a few. I don't have a lot.
What's your go-to?
Well, sadly, my go-to guitar just had the headstock broken by one of the airlines. And, so it's at the Gibson repair shop in downtown Nashville as we speak.
But there is a silver lining to that story, and I found this out. Every time you break the headstock off a Gibson Les Paul, once it's put back together, miraculously the guitar sounds better. And
It
it's
happened to me
happened. It's happened with numerous Les Pauls of mine. There's something that has to do with when it's repaired and they add more mass to it in the form of dowels or glue or whatever. Something happens and it comes back better.
Yeah, it happens to
But I don't recommend.
Really?
I don't recommend that. to anyone.
It's like Tommy John surgery.
I was just
for
going to say
guitars.
that.
Yeah.
And baseball players come back better.
It happened to me too, to my guitars, because they frequently broke when I had the Gibsons, because they're like more fragile and they break. But every time they put it back together, it played better. It sounded better.
No, there's some
It's
interesting
weird.
folklore about guitars, really, because I've spoken. Gary Rosington from Leonard Skinner had his famous 50. I think it's a 57 or 58. Same thing, sounded better. I don't know if you guys remember, there was this tremendous flood in Nashville in 2010.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it completely flooded this warehouse where so many stars kept all their gear and everybody's gear. And I had a little storage closet there, and I have a gold top Les Paul that essentially sat in the water for 5 days. So when we got it out, the neck was all twisted up, and this guy said, "Look, man, just give it some time." It dried out. The neck returned to straight, angle, straight plane. We put the pickups back in it, and it sounds better than ever before because it took a bath for 5 days.
So there's a note to everybody. If you're trying to make your guitar sound better, knock off the headstock, soak it in water, and we're all good.
All right, thank you for watching that after show, everybody.